Hello again everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to today's race at the Hungaroring, and we're again in our favourite
Rolling
LMP.
start, get ready. Follow car number 11.
I did have a go at qualifying in this one, and as you can see in top split, that only got me to P10. Hungaroring is definitely not my best track, though I
Safety car
do
speed
really
is
try to
82
improve on this
kilometers
one.
per hour.
And especially here in the LMP, it is quite a tricky technical one as you're fighting the traction control system a lot of the time, because it's one of those where it thinks it's helping you, but in reality it's just making everything so much
Nice and neat,
worse.
stay out of trouble.
Anyway, as we're about to get going here, it's a bit of an awkward start coming around this long right, so I can't quite see where the leader is. I thought they were going for a second there, but I misjudged it. We're not too bad though, but we are losing to the cars behind and to our right, as we're almost 3 wide here into T1, so I'm going to err on caution.
He's still there.
I'm going to go wide around here. I'm going to lose a position here to that green LMP3 driven by Tony Dibden, the green bandit he is. So I'm just going to try and settle in for now.
Car right. Still there.
Got his car round our outside, but we should be able to get a good exit there. He's still there though, so I've got to give him the space around that fast right.
Right side's clear.
And he yields eventually, but we've lost a little time to the cars ahead. I know they're going to bunch up, and oh, someone's around there, a lot of smoke, can't quite see what's happening, so I stay right. Looks like gathered up, but again ahead, another one. I'll come together and just stop in time.
On your left, clear left.
A bit of door banging, and we get a 2x from that, but thankfully not a 4x, surprisingly. I got a bit wide and wrong there, that incident threw me off, so I braked a bit too late. And we can see Falco had a look behind us there, but thankfully he didn't commit. And with all that carnage over for now, we're just going to try and settle back into this race and start pushing to catch up to the group ahead of us. Go wide again, they're not quite in it yet with these tyres. As I say, it's a very technical track, the Hungaroring, especially with these two long corners last there. And the car ahead of us has a moment, and he overcorrects, unfortunately for him. Looks like in the rear view mirror he's able to get going again, so we'll have a look at that and some of the incidents on lap 1 again at the end of this race.
Ahead of us is Luca, car number 15.
So, now that the carnage is over and we've made it through lap 1, again, just settle in, look for my brake markers and get this car's tyres up to temperature, as there is a big difference in this, I found.
Defend your position, don't let him through.
So Falco is still behind us, and we've got a 4-second gap to the cars ahead now, so I need to also try and push and claw some of that time back. Now, I know there's a lot of fast drivers in this lobby, so it's going to be very difficult. Some of the great corners on this track.
I fucking hate this car.
Got the flag marker from my overlay ahead of us, and looks like Jack's had a bit of a moment going by that yellow flag on the top bottom right. Managed to gather it up though, but he is now only 3 seconds ahead of us.
The driver in front of us is Jack,
And
car
there we go again, looks
22.
like he's gone wide. That little part you can see there at the top is iOverlay's flag warning system. It's very handy, as you'll see it's showing a green flag, which means that he's underway again. But if you see a yellow flag, you'll see the distance to it in meters. That's a really good way to tell whether or not the car is moving and then how close you are to it, especially around some of these blind bends. Let's say here you can see just how long this is, so I've had instances where people spin out on those bends and you just cannot see them until it's too late.
The leader has just done a 139.44.
There we go, through the second lap now, and we're starting to get this together. Clawing in a bit of time against Jack, and we've opened up a good gap to the cars behind us, so looking for the 100 marker there and braking hard. This is a very awkward apex to find. It's both due to my FOV on a single monitor, but also you see the massive A-pillar in these LMP3s. Braking just before the curbing there, and then trying to carry the speed around this long left-hand corner, and then get on the power. It's very difficult there as you'll fight the traction control system in the second gear. Really starts coming in and the higher revs. It's a light dab and then carry the speed through that fast left, and then braking on those outside barriers, and again trying to carry the speed around this long right. It is the theme around this track, and when you get them right, it is very satisfying. That's an awkward chicane there. You see I cut a little bit too much on the entry.
Stewards have warned us about track limits. Keep it between the lines.
Thankfully it's not a slowdown, so it doesn't cost us too much.
The
And again, that section there, you have to be very gentle. It's very much about getting the flow correct through there to not oversteer and understeer as well. So you can really suffer both through that section. This corner's a nice easy one. You can really carry the speed as long as you get on that apex, and then again entering the long left second to last corner. It's all about really trying to carry the speed and get on the power gently so you're not triggering that TC. And third gear was the better one for this corner, I found, though it does mean I'm a little bit slower on the entry. So seeing as I found myself in a gap, we'll skip forward to lap 9. We're starting to come up onto the back of the GT4s here, and really nothing happened on those past few laps because I found myself in a void between Jack in front of us.
Turn 2.
And looks like something's going on ahead of us from what crew chief just called out. And we've got our marker, and it's a yellow flag, so we know there's a stopped car ahead of us somewhere.
That GT4,
really careful that Porsche.
Through, you're special.
And it looks like poor Tony's been collected by whatever has happened here. A bit slow, so I'm not going to send it on him here. Don't quite know what damage he's got, and you can see there he's going very wide, so I'm going to give him space. I was asking if he took damage.
Yeah, Meatball with a GT4 was a genius.
Nice,
I'm going to drive into the middle of the field.
And unfortunately, as you can see in the rear view there, he's lost the front of his LMP, which is game over sort of damage in these cars, unfortunately. But we've got to keep pressing on, and we're coming into the back of the GT4s here, and that's a bit of a fight there between these two, so I've got to try and get round safely.
Car left.
Just being very cautious with these guys. They tend to be very aggressive in top split especially. I've got a bit of a bad exit, so I'm going to have to really send it here on the Porsche, who does well. He gives me the space and we're able to get past.
We're looking alright here. Keep your concentration nice and smooth. You're halfway home, your fuel is fine.
So through everything that's happened, we're now up to P9 where we've managed to overtake Tony, and we're now straight behind car 12, who was also likely caught up in that incident, which we'll review later on.
Coming up on a slower class
make
car.
Good use of the slipstream here from those GT4s, so I want to be ahead of them into the braking zone. Just about there as we get to the 100 board, and I'm able to get it stopped and just about meet the apex. So we're going to try and follow car 12 here. He's a 3.8k driver and he definitely outqualified me, so
I'm sorry.
I'm not expecting I'll be able to really make a move on him, but I'm hoping I can go with him to car through this pack of GT4s because it is so awkward around here.
There's an incident in the chicane.
We've got to go around the outside here, and it is a long way,
right. Yellow flag.
even though we can carry a lot more speed than these GT4s.
Incident in.
Pull it off. Get a good enough exit out of the chicane there.
There's an incident in turn 9. It looks like Chris.
Oh, and that's another LMP3 that's spun in front of us. Hopefully he's going to be able to gather that up.
Coming up on a slower class car.
Let's put us up to P8. And thankfully now I'm really into the rhythm here. I'm managing to balance the car nicely through there. I'm going to have to send it down the inside of this Porsche. I managed to get it stopped and we're ahead of him. Fighting the traction control on that exit though. See here, this Mercedes is going to hold both of us up. He's going to go for a move down the inside, but I'm not going to have that luxury, so I'm just going to have to try and get him on the exit. To manage to just about do there. I was fighting the car, trying to keep it to the inside, but we've lost a few tenths to him.
The time was 141.81. Sector 2 is 1.1 seconds off the pace.
Going deep here. Just about miss the apex, so I lose time on the exit.
Slower cars ahead. These guys are scrapping for position.
Very difficult trying to spot that on this single screen that I use, especially with the large A-pillar that the LMP3 has. I can see they're fighting ahead, and the car 12 has got there, so I'm just going to play it safe and get them on the exit.
Car left, clear left.
That's the safest way to really do these sort of overtakes, but I'm going to be held up again here. So once more, plan for that exit, and I'm going to have to go around the outside again. I'm cautious because
You've got
for a
half your fuel
moment there, it
left.
looked like that Mercedes is going to go further to the
side.
outside.
Right,
I'm
on
going
your
to
right.
push here.
Clear right.
We get past the BMW into the chicane, thankfully. It's not over yet. I can still see that's P7 ahead of us for the GT4s.
What are you doing, man?
Thankfully, these guys are a bit spaced out, and I just gassed too much of the rear coming out of there.
Clear right.
Watch the Mercedes in my rear view mirror, and I'm able to make a safe rejoin, thankfully. I've lost some time to the car ahead of us, and we've been brought back into contention with car 24.
Up here.
Slower class cars ahead.
To get past these two GT4s once again.
Car left.
We're not
Still there.
quite ahead, so I've got to give space on the inside to that
Still the clear left.
BMW. He does well to hold it there and not drift out wide on us. And we make it through. Oh, that was a harrowing lap. Looking back at this, it's easy to take it all in, but during the race I was so concentrating on everything that it was just a complete blur. I know I'm not going to make it on this Mercedes here, so again, try and slow down, get an exit. He's very slow on the apex, which caught me by surprise there, so
Left side.
I could have,
Clear left.
and I
The gap
should have
to
left more of a
Chris
gap to him
behind us
really,
now,
so I would have been able to
1.0.
not be affected by him being so slow. But we're past for now at least, and we've got a bit of breathing room. We can see now in our bottom right relative that car number 3, the one we saw spin just after the chicane a couple of laps before, is now starting to catch back up to us. And he's a 7k driver in car 3.
Coming up on a slower car.
I'm not going to expect to be able to hold him off, but I know it is very difficult to pass around the Hungaroring, as you really only have a few opportunities unless you make a mistake. And hopefully I've had my mistakes for this race now. Being very gentle here, both watching that GT4 and just mindful of what happened the lap before.
10 minutes remaining, 10 minutes. The track temperature's rising. It's
There
now
we go, I get a
25
much better
Celsius.
exit this time. You can see my delta time just come down. It's just how important that
Fastest
is
lap
out
for
of there.
Morris, 138.54.
And we're now coming up to the
Slower
lead
cars ahead. These guys will
GT4s.
be
and
fighting
not
for
get them around
position.
this
They might
long
not see you.
left, but I'm going to get them on the long right. And you might notice there, the P3, car number 4 is Jack Crawford, the F2 driver. So I didn't realise at the time, but looking back now, I should have been a little bit more careful with him.
Left side.
But we've got
Clear left.
plenty of space and we're ahead on the straight. You can see there, Chris, car 3 is right in our slipstream here. He's a bit too far back, so I don't expect the send straight away. I'm going to make sure I get my braking mark, but I missed that
On your
apex.
Clear right.
I do well though just to abandon that and try and carry the speed around the outside, and Chris gives the space and doesn't go wide, so we make it work. But I'm really under pressure here. I have to try and focus on making sure I get these apexes correct and get a good exit. And that way it removes any real opportunity for him to send it down my inside, as long as I keep it clean. Do well then, I'm carrying a good speed around here and get on the power just about to go wide.
Slow
I've got to
car
really
ahead.
nail the
This is the
chicane.
leader for their class.
A bit slow on the entry, but I'll get the exit again. I'm now worried because I can see we're catching that Mercedes. And you can hear that traction control, that little grumble that's kicking in there. That's just how much I'm trying to ask of the car. And we've got slowed badly here, so I'm going to try and get the exit. And Chris is right behind us, so I'm going to defend to the inside here. Gets it around the outside, he's braking late. Make sure I stop for the apex and try and get on the power, but
Clear left.
I've just
Keep
compromised
pushing. We
myself
might get
too
in back
much.
car left.
Oh
Clear left.
dear, I got caught by surprise there.
Left side.
I don't think he was
Still
braking too
Clear
early. Oh, I just lost track of where the braking marker is there. Thankfully we only just tapped him and we avoided an incident. So with Chris past us, we've now then got car 24 back behind us. I just need to gather myself back up and see if I can catch up to Chris
Guy in
here.
front is Chris.
Oh,
Car
wide
number
there.
3.
Getting on power a little too early on turn
Just cut
1.
the track. You have a 5
See, I
incident
really
points.
struggle around there. I do like going around there. It's a nice little corner when you get it right. And again with this one coming up, it's a great corner to be able to carry the speed through. Just brake just before the curb, really throw the car in, carry the speed. And you've got to get over to the left and start braking in a nice, safe, gentle line. And then you can carry it through into that long right. Car 24 behind us, he's a 3k driver, he's pretty quick. I think we only just beat him in qualifying, so I've got to be wary of him behind us. But for now, just got to keep pushing and see if I can catch up to Chris whilst keeping him behind us.
New fastest lap for Boris.
I go wide there, but I'm able to carry the speed and surprisingly not getting off track, so that's a bonus for me. Not that I'm really too worried at my safety rating at the moment, but I try not to lose it too willingly. We're doing okay here. That delta bar is looking quite good. I'm over a second up. But that'll also be because I got a off track, I think, of my fastest lap previously, but there we go. I'm able to break into the 139s finally. I say that is the joy of this car, is it only just keeps getting faster and faster the more fuel it burns off. You can always see with the consistent drivers, their times just plummet the longer the race goes on. And I'm able to carry a good amount of speed through there. And car 24 behind is starting to fall back. And Chris is not getting too far ahead of us either, so I feel good at this point. Like, I can get the pace, I just need to really nail down my consistency around here. You can see at the Hungaroring, you've really got to maximise the track. That's why I'm on this outer curb, and then I've got to use that inner curb. And I'm actually staying a bit too right there looking back at this. Like, you need to stay further to the left to really open up that right turn, but as I say, in the heat of the race, these are details that can easily slip your mind when you're concentrating. But it's little things like that which you'll see Chris ahead is not doing, and that's what's letting him pull away. So that's the difference in a 7k driver versus me, a nearly 3k driver. I'd still love to get to 3k, I've never quite reached it, and this is definitely the highest I've been. I used to sit around 2k iRacing.
Behind is now 1.6 seconds.
My previous high in the LMP3 was
Your last
2.2.
lap time was at 1:39.88.
So that's what's getting me into these top split races finally. And we're in P9 still, so I'm somewhat holding my own. If I can finish here, that will be an okay points score, which will go towards my series result, as I was still previously leading Division 2 in the Falcon Tyre LMP category, and I'd definitely love to hold on to that. Again, I'm in that bit of no man's land. I'm not quite fast as the guys ahead of me, but I am faster than the guys behind me, so far at least. As you can see in the top left, my delta times are in the green, apart from poor Jack, but as much as he hates this car, he's still doing very well to hold on to P6 there.
Yellow flag.
Don't quite get that corner right, and there's a yellow flag. And I can see on my bottom right relative there was a bit of a yellow flash for the GT4 ahead of us, so it looks like they've had a moment. And coming up close to them, it looks like that Porsche is missing its rear wing. So they've been involved in some
Slower
incident.
class car ahead. This guy'd have a lot of incidents, bear it in mind.
And you never want to hear that when you're coming up behind a GT4, so I've got a good safe space, so I do send it down the inside, and they do well to see me and give the space. I say it's a bit of a tit for tat when it comes to passing the GT4s.
That lap was a 1:14.35.
You can't always expect them to relinquish the space, but in a situation like that where they're not really fighting anyone, it's appreciated. And I go wide again there.
Keep it within the track limits.
Maybe some point I'll hit that apex. I can at least make up for some of the time here. You can hear I'm fighting that traction control. Even with this great setup provided by
P10
Remco,
is gaining on you. The gap is
the
now
TC
1.1
is on its
seconds.
lowest setting, but you'll still be fighting it constantly.
Just 2 minutes left, 2 minutes to go.
And I was surprised at that point when I heard 2 minutes left. It felt like this race had really only just started, and especially with all the carnage that's happened over the course of it. But we're still holding in there. And I keep seeing that flash of yellow, and you can see I do the same there. That seems to be just as you're going a little bit too wide through that corner. I'm not really slowing down enough, which is then meaning I'm understeering wide, trying to get on the power. And little mistakes like that mean that I'm losing my lap time, and you can see there that car 24 is caught up quite fast to us. Now within a second. But thankfully we're onto the white flag this time round, and I can't believe how happy I was to finally see that. I've not quite enjoyed this race, but I'm very happy with how far we managed to get.
There's an incident in turn 3. It looks like it's Boris.
And oh dear, that was Boris, the lead car, and I can see on the top left they've disappeared from the scoreboard. It looks like something's happened to them. Going a bit too hot there, and I lose a lot of time. But thankfully, Sean, the car behind us, also had a bit of an error. And again here, the pressure's just getting to me, so I go too heavy on that cut.
Keep it nice and tidy. You have 7 incident points.
I think I deserve that one. Just got to keep it tidy through this section. I can see I'm going to catch that Porsche.
Slower class car
bad
ahead.
Time. Again, I don't quite slow the car enough, so go wide, and now I've got the windscreen wiper on. I really don't know why it does that. It is a bit distracting.
Carla, clear left.
So we lose a lot of time there on the exit.
5 minutes.
Probably set that up better, and Sean just tried to brake a bit late there to try and close up the gap to us, but it's not enough. And we're ahead still into this long left corner. Get the good exit, brake and carry the speed, and he's still behind us. And we've got a safe gap to that Porsche ahead where it's not going to affect us, which lets us bring it across the line in P8.
P8.
Definitely not
Okay,
a
that's the
bad
finish.
result
Well done,
after
mate.
everything that's happened and my mistakes. Very pleased at that, with only 7 incident points as well. It's not too bad. So we're going to have a look at what happened then on lap 1. So we're cutting here. This is the battle between the lead 2 cars. He's got someone on his inside, so he's going to go right around, and his rear tyre just clips that, and he gets turned fully, and he does a very nice pirouette, and thankfully he's able to keep going. As you hear, there's a bit of an incident behind there, so we're going to have a look. And this will be the car that turned in front of us. You see he gets through that puff of smoke quite okay, but that car in front of him is turning in, and he just drives into them. And then does a little pirouette himself, but ends up facing the wrong way. Just gets it turned in time before the GT4s. Now this is the car that we saw in that first lap again. So he has a bit of a moment and he overcorrects it, and there's a light tap on the barrier. Hopefully it was slow enough that it looks like he was able to get going again. And now we'll have a look at what happened on lap 9. This was the big incident that happened in front of us. So we've got 2 LMP3s fighting. This yellow one is stuck behind the GT4. Watch that Porsche. That is a terrible rejoin. I can definitely agree with Tony's evaluation of them. We can see poor Tony there. We'll see what caused that. So this is from the Porsche. He's having a bit of a fight here. There's an LMP, that's the lead LMP down his inside. And right, so here he gets turned, and it's an unfortunate thing to happen, but that is Just no. And then a second time, 2 cars. And poor Tony there, as we'll see from his perspective here, he just avoids the Porsche, but this second one, oh, I had a look at his onboard, and unfortunately his A-pillar blocked him from seeing that spinning car. He thought he got around it. And we'll have a look here. This was Chris, who span on a couple of laps after that chicane. So he avoids that bad rejoin, and he just loses the rear here. Now it does a dangerous but an okay sort of thing. He's just off the racing line there, and he gives himself enough space to get turned around, so not too bad all in all. And so this was the leader, and you can see he sends it down the inside on this GT4, but unfortunately goes wide, and he suffers some terrible drivetrain damage. You can see from those sparks at the back of his car. And unfortunately that was the end of the race for him. So that's everything. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I hope to see you next time.